only 450 are going to be released. So who's going to be buying these?
Well, that's a very good question. I mean, a lot of collectors. Clearly, this is the last in a series of 6 we've produced. Started off in 2005 with the release of the first of this special edition, which reflected our exceptional oak casks, sherry oak casks. So there'll be a few collectors looking to get the whole series of 6. But also there are connoisseurs out there that really do want to, drink a bit of history, and this is an opportunity for them as well.
Okay, and I'm not a whiskey drinker per se. I mean, I've had some, of course, but what's so special about this? What's so different?
Well, as you mentioned, this is the oldest whiskey we've produced in commercial quantity. We do have whiskey going back to the 1920s, but this is really a commercial release of 450 bottles. And really what's special about it is, you're drinking a little bit of history. You're going back in time. The youngest whiskey in it is 65 years old. There are older whiskies in it. And so you're really going back to that era of during the war and post-war era. So every time you sip, you're sipping history.
I wonder, Paul, how important is it? I mean, does older whiskey, is it always better? Does it always make it better if it's another decade or 2 or 3 or 4 decades old?
Not necessarily. I mean, aging is a really important aspect of whiskey production, and certainly, Scotch whiskey's been renowned for older whiskies throughout the world. But really, it's about the quality of the oak casks you use. We ourselves at Macallan, we use predominantly sherry oak casks from Spain. We produce about 92% of the world's sherry oak casks. They're about 10 times the price of a bourbon cask. And really, the colour, which is 100% natural, comes from the wood. So therefore, it's incredibly important you invest at the beginning of that process in exceptional oak casks. So if you use a really good cask 65 years later, it's really, really good. If you don't use a good cask at the beginning, might not be so good. So really, it's about the whole process.
Hey, Paul, I'm a big fan of the brown liquors, but I'm kind of an old guy. I went last night to the Soho House in Prenzlauer Berg and hung out with the cool young kids. After I took off my necktie, I was allowed in. They were all drinking some kind of special gins that were made up with super cool recipes. Are you getting a little bit of competition from the gins and the other sort of clear spirits these days?
I wouldn't call it competition. I mean, I think what's happening at the moment is we're seeing a new interest in spirits generally. The cocktail culture is here to stay. It's amongst, as you said, a younger generation are now beginning to experiment with bourbon, Irish, Scotch whiskey, gins, and that's just great for all of us. At the Macallan, we are a little bit more expensive than a regular gin, but in good time, some of those young folk you were hanging out with in Berlin are no doubt going to be drinking Macallan.
Okay, Paul, so is there a special way that you need to market this at all? I mean, given that it is going to go to a very exclusive buyer, I mean, is there a special way that you're presenting this?
No, I mean, I think, we're really, at the Macallan, focusing it was on the glass, in the glass at the end of the day. It's about the liquid and in the process that gets it to this exceptional stage. I mean, products like this tend to end up in the secondary market at auction, although a lot of them are drunk as well. And Macallan has enjoyed traditionally about 25% of the global auction market by value. So we tend to just allow word of mouth and just generally the people who know the best in life come to us, and so we don't market anything of this nature. It's just not necessary.
Right, it's so exclusive.